Hello YouTubers, welcome to my channel. Well, there's an old saying, if you own a F-150 09 to 2012, never a dull moment. Boy, that is the truth. So, it's all back together, and make a long story short, got a miss, and it come up saying primary coil D, and of course the coils on these are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And D turns out to be back here in the back. Now, of course, back here in the back, it's kind of hard to get in here. And whoever owned the vehicle before me, may have changed out the plugs and coils a few times over its lifetime. But after you start tugging on wires and stuff, things start to break, obviously. And there's the coil. So, it kept saying this coil was bad. I kept changing it out, swapped them around. Kept saying the coil was bad. So I pulled the coil off, started it up, ground it, got good spark. And I thought, what the heck is going on? So I was about ready to give up, and I thought, well, let me just check these wires. And you notice here, they all look like they're in good shape, but back here, where my hand back here, the back one is, there was just a little cut back here in this wire. Just a little nick. I mean, it was all connected and looked green, looked good. And I went to look at it a little closer, and I just kind of bent the wire, and it was broke right in half. And there was my issue the whole time. So what I've done, I've gone ahead and spliced this wire. My attempt is to get some solder there, a little solder there, maybe a little piece of heat shrink on there to take care of this issue. So just, if you have a miss in a coil, especially on these F-150 trucks, definitely check the wire, like right here. On this coil wire, it looks good, but you gotta look close, because over time, you move it around like that, it'll break on the inside. Then when it's broke on the inside, it still might be getting good contact, but it only takes that one time where someone pulls on a little harder and it separates that wire on the inside, although the plastic may actually be still good, or the covering, and your short could be there. So if you have any coils that are giving you problems, once you swap them around, even if it keeps saying that cylinder's got a miss in it, then start looking at your wire. But there's my problem, so I'm going to attempt to fix this. And I've got my box of goodies there, so it's going to be a little tight to get in here, but I think I can get some solder on there, and maybe a little tiny piece of heat shrink. So wish me luck. Hey, let me know where you're watching from right now. Alright, I know you can't see that, but what I like to do is put a little solder by itself on that wire there, and I'll do the other one. Alright, I don't think you can see that, but there's the other one. So I got some on that one there, and that one down there, and I'm going to have to take these two and take my one hand and kind of push this wire together with that one and just dab it real quick. And I even got a piece of heat shrink on there, and connect it, and that should be good enough for the connection. So I don't have a way to set the camera up to do that, but you get the idea. You'll have to kind of invent your own way to how you want to get those wires together, but I think I can bend these close enough together just to kind of touch it like that and go boom, solder it together. So let me try that. Alright, so I just kind of pushed the wires together, and actually with that hanging there, I twisted it where it's kind of touching, and when I get that solder hot enough, I just kind of move it back and forth, and look at that. I can't believe I got that. So, and there's solder, it went on the bottom too. So now all I gotta do is pull my heat shrink on there. So this might not be your problem, it may not, but it never hurts to check these wires, because they do go bad. Now when I tested my coil, I just so happened that wire was turned a certain way, or it was just getting fire to the coil, but as soon as I hooked it back up, it disconnected in there. It doesn't take much, and that caused my problem. So let me put the heat shrink back on here. And we'll heat that up real quick. Alright, so we got the heat shrink on there, and if you find out you got your heat shrink too small or it won't slide over there, back it off and take a pair of pliers and kind of bend the solder down a little bit if you have a little piece sticking up or something you didn't see. But that's just enough to get that on there. And now we'll go ahead and there we go, my $8 little heating tool here. And that ain't going nowhere. And remember now, when you work back here, just be gentle with these wires. So, just so happened to be, in my luck, it had to be all the way in the back. Couldn't be up here or anything. So anyway, and this is one of my better fixes. Normally, wires break. I make bad noises and say bad words and stuff like that, but that went okay. But that was the only coil I had problems with, especially in 5th gear, 6th gear. If you haven't missed any of these coils, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel a jerking sound. You'll think your transmission's going out. So, all right, so let's go ahead and put it back together and see if our engine's nice and smooth. All right, so everything's back together. Sometimes I'll unhook other coil wires here just to get them out of my way, and make sure you hook them all back up. It's easy to forget this stuff. Just take your time at it. The engine's nice and cold right now, so that's all back together, and you can see the wire back there a little bit, I guess, right there. My finger is. And go start her up and see what we get. All right, let me hop up in this thing, and I apologize for that dog up the street barking. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, we'll start this thing up. And you know, it's got a the starter's basically brand new. It's got a really good battery, and listen how quick this thing starts up. Although I'm still fighting some electrical gremlins now and then, I still have an issue with the security light blinking on and off, and you'll be driving and it'll just say disconnect bus A. But I did resolder this back here in an earlier video, and it took care of 90% of the problems. Just rarely that'll happen now. So it's a Ford thing. So key goes in. Listen how fast this thing cranks over. Now that's what you call cranking over fast. And is our mist gone? I can tell as soon as I put it in gear. Oh yes, it's gone. I took care of it. Yes. Yes. Good deal. And we'll clear the codes here real quick on the scan tool. And you can see right there, there's the code earlier that I have, PO P0354 coil D. So we'll go ahead. These other codes are just cam phaser codes. I've been kind of messing around with it. All right, it was successful. I'll have to drive it for a few miles because that is a hard code. I don't think it clears until it clears on its own. Again, it's a Ford thing. Yeah, see it, P0354. That is a permanent code. Anytime you see that, there's not much you can do about it. You got to drive it. After you fix it, then the computer will clear it itself. All right, so let's go out here and listen to it. It sounds really good. Drop it back in gear. Oh yeah, it's nice and smooth now. I can't believe, all because of that broken wire. Well, yeah, I can believe it, but you can see just how smooth it runs. That should be bouncing around, but you can see it's very smooth. All right, we fixed it, so let's take it out the road, see if we can get this light to permanently clear, or at least the code to permanently clear. All right, so I've checked everything here, and I know a lot of you are guilty of this too, and you probably don't want to admit it, but check around, make sure you didn't leave any bolts or tools laying around, because I've done this in the past. Lost some decent tools in the past, so all right, looks like we got everything here. All right, so now let's take her down the road, see if we can get those permanent codes to go away, is what I'm trying to say. All right, so I've driven about 20 miles, and our permanent code is gone. No powertrain DTTs or free frames, anything found right now. So oil pressure seems pretty good down there. You can see it idling, hot. Drop it down in gear, and about 20 or so. Not terribly hot out today, but sometimes this thing will still go full advance, and you can hear the valves a little bit, and you have to shut it off and restart it, and it's fine. I still think some of the cams out there on the head may have to be looked at, but I'm not sure yet. But a lot of stuff's been replaced in it, but other than that, it runs good. But we got the mist fixed, no more shaking, and all that good stuff. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, guys. And until my next video, I'll see you later.